Good morning for anyone watching this in the replay. Make sure, shut my door. I'm gonna give it a few seconds for people to make it here. I hope everybody's having a happy Saturday. It's a little weird for me to be doing one of these on a weekend day and in the morning versus Wednesday evening. I want to say I'm sorry for having to reschedule it yesterday. Hey Maximum, hey Nick and Steph, hey that Amber chick, hey Jay. I just want to say sorry for having to reschedule this so many times. We had company last minute. Hey Dark Lily, my husband's brother and his niece don't live extremely far from us, and they decided to come down this weekend. So they came, and I had to make sure that everything was prepared for them yesterday evening for them to arrive. So I was unable to go live and have this open discussion. So we're gonna do it this morning. For anybody who pops in, who's wanting my Katie rant, that is coming. I'm going to talk to you guys about like the timing of that at the end of this video. So I'm using my phone today to film, so let me get the chat opened on my computer so I can see what you guys are saying. And then let me make sure the volume's down. I hate hearing myself talk. It's weird to me. All right. You're working, but you're here. Well, I appreciate you being here, Dark Lily. So you don't know what I mean by gender roles, but I have to say I believe men and women can both work and be stay-at-home parents. Gender doesn't matter. So more of what this is in relation to is I had a comment on one of my open discussions where you guys were voting, and there was a very lengthy comment left. And what boiled down to be what she wanted to talk about, in my opinion, was gender roles. The lighting is weird today. Sorry, I'm going to maneuver you guys. I don't know if it's because my ring light's so far away or I don't know what's going on. We'll have to make do for what it is. Sorry if it's dark for you guys. It's dark on my end. But let me see if I can find it. I may be able to, I may not. But she left this extremely long comment, and a lot of it had to do with like how men are viewed differently on YouTube than how women are. And I don't ever want to make these open discussions like situations where you guys can't provide your feedback or can't provide situations where you have been put or feel that you were maybe discriminated against because of your gender. And that's kind of what takeaway I got from what she was trying to say. So let me see if I can find it. I always get confused on how to get to certain things whenever I'm not using my phone. I can find it really quickly on my phone because I know which apps to go to and where to find what I need. But when I use the laptop, it's totally different. How's everybody's morning going? Because I had company come in late, I'm literally just waking up not too long ago, so it's a little bit embarrassing to admit, but it is true. So let's see, I'm trying to find it. It was a couple of weeks ago. I might not be able to find it. So what we're talking about today as far as gender roles are, and even if you're a male and you're in this chat, I'm meaning from like a sense of any time you have been discriminated against because of your gender. Not so much, we can talk about specific things like the internet and how the different sexes can be treated differently on YouTube and TikTok and any kind of social media. We can go in that realm as well if you guys would like. but in order to kind of allow everybody to speak and have their opinions out here, I figured we would just do it in general, generally speaking. So it's been a little while since I posted that one. Let's see. I think it's in this one. So this is a long comment, but this is kind of where I'm getting my conversation. Hey, Jake's Baby Cakes, how are you? Jay, so we're gonna talk about Katie at the end of this. I'm sorry to hear you have a bad headache. I am going to talk about Katie at majority vote. So I put out a vote because I had company come in. I was up extremely late last night, so I had actually just crawled in bed, and one of my lovely subscribers actually DM'd me and told me that this was going on that Uni had gone live and all of this stuff with Katie. So I kind of watched a little bit of it. Because of what I watched, I said 2 days ago, if something serious happened, I was going to talk about it. Otherwise, if it was just little stuff, her being her, I wasn't going to care to bring it up again. However, what she has done is extremely dangerous, and I believe it deserves a final call out. Like, I've been trying to just call all of her crappy behaviors that I disagree with and leave it at that. But this is even worse than what she has been doing lately, and I understand this is normal behavior for her, but I have not been witness to it before, which is why I've not talked about it. Now I have, so I am going to talk about it because you guys all voted about it. Like I said, Lane, everybody voted about it. I have it on Twitter and my YouTube community page. Majority vote by a landslide is that you guys want me to talk about it, so I am going to. And then hopefully this will be it. Hopefully this is the last time we talk about her and we can just move on. So that will be coming later. We'll talk about that after we get through the open discussion. I have to catch up on the Sophie updates because I had family come in. I was not on YouTube at all yesterday, so although I knew that was happening with the update, I was unable to watch it, and I hope to watch it today. So the updates that I may have, the opinions I may have on that story probably aren't going to be something I can talk about until either tomorrow or in the week. You're sorry? Yeah. I also get migraines, so I know how painful those can be. So, and I understand some people are going to call me a hypocrite because I'm going to cover Katie. That's fine. You guys are open to have your opinions, but this is, and I'm not trying to be catty or nasty, but this is my channel. I have given my subscribers the ability to vote, and they are voting that they want me to talk about it. So I'm going to follow through and talk about it. If you don't want to watch that video or you don't want to be here because of that, that's fine. You have that opinion. I hate to see people leave over something so childish, but if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I'm not going to hold it against anybody. So with that being said, let's get into the topic of open discussion. I don't want this to turn into Katie. I don't want this to turn into me feeling like I have to explain myself about why I'm talking about Katie. It is what it is. So let's move on and talk about gender roles. And I'm going to read out the comment that was posted that brought up wanting to maybe have the discussion. I had found it, so let's read it. I just have to find out where I had it pulled up. So I'm not going to say who left this comment just in case. You can vote on my community tab on YouTube or on my Twitter. I put the poll up there. The Twitter poll is closed, but my YouTube poll is gonna stay up until probably indefinitely. I don't close those. So let me read this comment so you guys can kind of understand where this person was coming from when this was brought up. I may try and edit a few things just because this was after, those of you who know, was after my recent drama with a different channel, and they're mentioned in here. I'm really not trying to drudge any of that back up or make this in relation to that, because she was just trying to explain her point. So I may stop and reword part of this, but I am going to read the majority of her comment. So she said she would like to talk about the hateful toxicity that different genders on YouTube and other platforms have thrust upon us. She's a female, so she's talking about females, that, you know, the male projection is kind of thrust upon the women in the platform. She's talking about all social medias, not just YouTube. And she says that she feels that women are greatly misunderstood, mistreated, and swiftly judged or put in a box based on stereotypes of women. Stereotypes created by men, in her opinion, and how we fit into whatever narrative is created for us, especially online. So that's the beef of it. I mean, it's a super long comment, but it kind of starts getting into the other stuff that I don't want to talk about. So with that, like, I mean, she really was trying to say, like, let's talk about the unrealistic standards that appear to most women are put on women. That's why there's feminist movements and things like that, because, you know, women didn't have rights when the men had rights, things like that. Like, this is historic, but it does translate into social media and, you know, how women feel they may or may not be able to be a part of social media. And that can go into, I have a dog hair or something in this eyelash. That's why I keep messing with it. I'm sorry. We deal with this, like, whether we realize it in our workplaces, we deal with this, you know, when you go grocery shopping, sometimes you can, you know, be discriminated against because you're a woman. I mean, it happens. It's not as common as what other people face as far as discrimination, but it does happen. It is a part of the lives that we live. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And if you're a man and you are watching this, I encourage you to provide ways that you have been discriminated against, because I can only speak from my perspective as a female. I know a lot of my subscribers are women, so they're going to be able to provide their perspective. And I want this to be like a very open and nobody get offended because of somebody else's experience or their thoughts of something, because this is a very controversial and touchy subject. And I understand that. But I want us to be able, if somebody's coming out with a different opinion, especially if there are any men here and they're going to disagree with maybe some things that we say or we feel, let's at least hear them out and see why they disagree with us or why they maybe are supporting certain situations. So, you don't have any experience in this, you're going to listen. Maybe I'd miss something. You don't feel an issue with men, but you've noted notable success with men on various categories, i.e. Jeffree Star, James Charles versus other creators with more talent. We have a way to go. Hey, Kim. We just got started on the topic today, so don't feel bad. In your field of work, men do experience discrimination in the form of demasculation. Yeah, so I have almost social workers. There are male social workers, but like it even translates to like different degrees. If you really want, if we want to be super broad and not get too personal with it right now, it's it affects social workers too. Most men that I have come across that have a social work degree, they go to the very top for the licensure. They won't, it's very rare that I have seen a male social worker stick with just a bachelor's and do like bachelor level work. Not saying it doesn't happen, but it's super uncommon. Men would prefer, I believe, from what I've seen, to go all the way up to licensure, because the jobs that bachelor level social workers and even some master level social workers put you in a category with just women, pretty much. I work with a few male social workers, I always have, but it's not as common for them to have the lower form of degree. And I don't mean that against women. I know just as many women who have completed that licensure, but it does reflect that men are not as likely to hang out in the bottom tier of social work. And I think that has to do with like the projection of what social work is, because typically social workers are, you know, supposed to, they have this stereotype of being like social justice warriors to a degree. Like, we are all about other people's rights, we're about helping the communities, we're about helping the less fortunate. And it can be looked on almost as if a female figure, you know, like a female's job, because women are viewed to be more nurturing. I hope what I'm saying makes sense and isn't being offended. Nobody's being offended by that. But that's, I mean, it translates into working. Maximum effort also says nursing, for sure. I can see it going into that work field too. It can go into a lot of different career fields. It's more predominant than I think people really realize. A lot of times when people are talking about gender roles and like gender in the workplace, people automatically start thinking about like the hierarchy of work environments. That's typically where the conversation goes, that it is more often men are going to be in the high tier levels of a company versus women. I think we are getting better, but that is still a statistic that's out there that continues to be upheld. We now have a vice president as a female, so you know it's starting to slowly go away more and more and more. It's not going to just go away overnight, but these are scenarios which we deal with. As women, we deal with all kinds of different kind of discrimination, especially when it comes to social media, in my opinion. Like, when you are on social media, I'm a heavier girl. I know you can kind of tell, but I don't know how much you can tell. I'm overweight for my height. You guys have never seen, from what I recall, like my midsection, and that's almost because I don't want to be judged because I'm a little bit chunky. I'm not like obesely overweight, but I'm chunky for my height, and there's such a Barbie-esque figure that is expected for women who are on social media and willing to put themselves on the platform that they should look like. That is what is expected almost. I know there are creators out here that are trying to push body positivity, who are overweight, and some people who are, you know, obesely overweight, and they acknowledge that, and they try to walk you through their journeys or walk you through their lives, or, you know, try and show that we should be equal no matter our body size. Don't get me wrong in saying that. I'm not uncomfortable with my weight. I'm totally comfortable in my weight. I haven't always been heavy. I have as an older adult. I used to be thin. I've lived that life before. To me, they are no different, to be honest, but I get viewed differently. Like, if I hadn't have gained the weight, some of the trolls that I get in here, they come in here and they call me chubby, they call me fat, and things like that, which don't hurt my feelings because I am chubby. It's the truth. I'm not going to get offended by somebody maybe observing the truth. But I understand that that is hurtful to some people. I am very confident in myself and my appearance, and I know not everybody can get to that level, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but because that shows what the internet is fostering. The internet is fostering, like, to push these ideals. ideals onto everybody, that everybody needs to be cookie cutter, everybody needs to be thin, everybody needs to be in shape, everybody needs to eat healthy, everybody wants to, project what they think is best onto other people. I mean, and I'm not trying to go into any communities in particular, but there's certain areas and communities, even on YouTube, that push their ideology and push their thought process onto their subscribers. And it's like, if you don't agree with them or you don't understand where they're coming from, you are automatically kind of like given the boot out of that community. Does that make sense? And I'm not trying to knock any community, but the one that comes to mind and the one that had a huge issue a couple of years ago was the vegan community. I've never been a vegan, but I know that there were a few creators who were pushing their veganism onto their subs and saying, if you're not vegan, then you're not a good person. That happens in religion, that happens in school at times. If you're not doing good or if you don't look a certain standard, you're going to get bullied. That's just the thought process. You could project that or provide examples of different kinds of discrimination any way you want to look at it. It's something that as a society is going to continue to happen, and we have to try and continue to not be offended and start educating. Because what I see happening a lot, whether we're talking about gender, we're talking about being overweight, whatever, veganism, whatever we're talking about, people are so easily offended. And rather than just automatically getting offended and putting your defenses up and arguing what you think, maybe you should stop and think about why you're offended and have a good conversation about, hey, that offends me because of XYZ, right? That would be a much more productive conversation, especially if you're an adult, to lessen all of this hate that's going on in the world. Because there's a lot of hate on the internet, but there's a lot of hate in the world too. And I think a lot of it, when I'm watching it, all comes down to people's ideology and them getting offended because of what somebody else said or what somebody else did. And if it is harshly offensive and there is no explanation for the behavior, then yes, of course, we should get upset. We should get defensive. But I'm not going to get upset that I have a troll or somebody who's just trying to be, kind of crappy to me, calling me fat. I'm going to say, yeah, okay, you made a good point. I'm overweight. Okay, it's my life. And I don't see that happening on men's channels. I don't see people coming in to troll male creators on a live who are overweight saying you're fat. Has anybody else? Because I haven't. I've never seen that. Hey, everybody who's come in. Because the computer's off to the left, I can't keep up with the chat and make eye contact with you guys. So I've ignored it a little bit. Hey, TT, thank you so much. You all are beautiful. Everybody has their own kind of pretty. Hey, Caroline. She says, as a manager, I see the way my employees relate to me differently than male managers. I don't mind, but the mothering figure is true. Yes, absolutely. I have been in managerial roles before, and I feel the same, that, when we are in those higher level positions, it is almost expected that we still take care of everybody, right? It's not like, oh, hey, just do your job as a manager. But if anybody has, as management, I'm going to go off because this is part of what we're talking about, right? So when I have been in management before, whenever people would try to leave work early or call out of work, they tried to pull at your heartstrings, in my opinion, as being a woman, because I don't think somebody's going to call their male supervisor and say, hey, my kid's really sick, something like that. Or, hey, I'm having cramps, I don't feel well. And I understand that there's some diagnosis to that, but I'm just speaking generally. Like, you're not going to call your male supervisor and say, hey, I'm cramping really bad. I don't think I'm going to make it to work. Instead, they're going to be general and they're going to say, I'm sick. I don't feel well. I don't think I can make it. That's a divide in how they are talking to managers based off of their gender. You can see this for sure. Men are often made fun of as nurses. Is social work the same? It is one of the rare places, though most fields are male dominated. I've never seen any males in my career in the same level as me get made fun of for being social workers. I think it's just automatically assumed that if you're a social worker, that you're in some kind of super nurturing job, which isn't always true, but that's just people not knowing what social work really is. There is a huge lack of knowledge when it comes to what social workers actually can do and do. Hey, Amber, how are you? You've had family and friends tell me to get a divorce because my husband can't work. See, and that kind of shows the opposite side. Like, men are expected to be the breadwinners of a family. That's a stereotype that's been going on for years, that men have to be the head of the households. Men have to be the ones over the finances. Men have to be the ones paying the bills. Me and my husband, we are total opposites. I definitely wear the pants in our relationship, and he would admit that. I'm the one who helps do all the budgeting. I'm the one who pays all the bills. He may make more money than me, but we are both bringing in money. So, and I think it's becoming more and more common for the men have to work stereotype starting to dissipate, but that still is there. It's still inherently there, because whenever you tell your family or your friends that you're dating somebody, they're going to automatically ask, if you're a woman dating a man, they're going to ask, oh, what does he do for a living? And they're almost going to judge his prestige based off of what job he has, which is so silly to me. There are some jobs that are like super labor intensive that are hard, but people don't realize how hard they are, and that pay really well. Like truckers get a bad stereotype, but let me tell you, they make some big money. They make a lot of money, but there are bad stereotypes out there about truckers. Hey, Princess Talk a Lot. Hey, Miss Tanisha. Hey, Melly Lynn. Hey, Ampatone, how's everybody doing? Sorry I missed you all coming in. Your friend is skinny shamed? Yes, it goes both ways. Skinny shaming and fat shaming goes both ways, in my opinion. I still don't think that people, unless you are like super, super thin, I don't think you experience the kind of like hate and disgust that you get if you are heavier. I'm sorry you experienced that, Miss Tanisha. Hey, John, how are you? Trying to read through what you guys have been saying. So I'm going to get on a little soapbox really quick. And I know I'm not caught up in the chat, but I see a comment here that says, I don't want to call this person out because I don't know, I haven't seen them in my chats very often, so I don't know if they'd be comfortable with that. But there is a comment here saying that this individual is so insecure because of the bullying that they've gone through. That is so sad. And it is so telling of the society that we live in, that as women, especially her situation, she disclosed earlier she's a woman of color, that women of color feel they have to live up to a certain standard
just to be acceptable. Like, that is absolutely disgusting. Nobody ever, not even just women, men and men included, we should not be judging others based off of our appearance. I don't understand how this became a part of our society, that what you look like determines your value or your worth. That is absolutely dog shit, because it doesn't. You can be the most beautiful person and have a terrible personality and be an actual terrible human being. It happens all the time. You can be somebody who may not be, ideally beautiful in your eyes, but be the most genuine, most kind, most loving person there has ever been. But because you don't think they're beautiful, you're not going to give them a chance. That is dumb. We need to get out of that thought process as a society, not just as women. Women need to start uplifting women. I am sick of seeing people, creators, celebrities, agencies, push this. Women need to support women. How about everybody support everybody? Let's not make it a gender thing. Let's not make it a sex thing. Let's make it we all are decent human beings to one another and support each other. If you find somebody to be shitty, then don't support them. That doesn't mean you really have to go out and tell all of your friends why you think they're shitty. That's part of human nature to gossip. I understand that, but I'm not even trying to get into that. I'm trying to get into the fact that what we are projecting and what we think is beautiful onto others, it is putting some people in some very dark places. You never know what they have been through in their life. You don't know. And you are potentially making it worse for them by sitting there on your mighty high horse because you think you are more attractive than them and degrading them as a human. That is bullshit. We need to stop that. I'm not insecure because of my weight. But I know people who are my size and even smaller than me who are extremely insecure. I'm just somebody who doesn't give a fuck. Like, at the end of the day, I'm sure you guys have seen it in some of my recent live streams. I really just don't care. I don't care what other people think of me. I don't care what the internet has to say. I don't. Because I know my value, I know my worth, I know what I do daily. I know I have people in my life who love me, even if there's only a few of them. I know those people are there for me. And I hope everybody has that. And if you don't have that, you can start to have that. Nobody should feel like they are alone in this world. There's always somebody somewhere for you, whether that's as far as relationship goes, whether that's as far as like friendships go, work goes, whatever way you want to take that, there's something for everybody. It may take time finding it, but it's there. It took me forever to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was 25, 26, going back to school, working full time because I had just decided what I wanted to do with my life. I'm now 30 and I'm doing what I want to do with my life. There is no age limit. There's not. And that's another issue with society, is that it's projected that once you're certain ages, especially as women, you should start having kids. You should be married by a certain age. It's gotten better as time has gone on, but it's there. It's a projection that's there. It's a stereotype. It's a, discrimination against women. Oh, you've been married for so long. How about you have a child now? Oh, you're that age? Are you thinking about having kids yet? That is so insensitive. There are women and men who deal with infertility, who can't have kids, who won't be able to have kids, who want kids desperately, but that is hard on them. And you're bringing it up and judging them because they haven't done what you expect them to do. It's mind-blowing that people don't take into account what could potentially be going on with other people, that they just feel that they can word vomit because it's 2020 and we can say and do whatever we want because freedom of speech. No, you can't. Like, be thoughtful. Be thoughtful before you speak. Even when I've gone on these rants about Katie, I'm still slightly respectful to her. And people constantly call me out for that and say I'm still giving her too much of the benefit of the doubt, or I'm still being too respectful of her. I'm not a garbage person. I think she is, and I will say that, and I will say things that are publicly out there that show that she is, but I'm not going to drag her for things she can't handle. Like, I'm not going to drag her for her appearance, like her physical appearance. I'm not going to do that. That is a low blow. I understand people do it, and it is kind of funny, but it's a mean girl tactic. I'm not going to stoop to that level. But I understand why other people do, and I'm not judging them for that. But for me, I'm not going to go there because I want to remain somewhat level-headed. Because if I want to be a mean girl and like go all in, I'm going to show a side of myself that I don't want people to know exist, because I try to work on that stuff. I try to make sure I'm not being mean, that I'm not potentially hurting somebody's feelings about stuff that they can't handle. If it's stuff that they can handle and behaviors that they can fix, then yes. I think it's like no holds barred at that point. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. But when it's something that they can't really help, then I'm not going to. So I know I have totally ignored the chat, and I'm sorry. But I hate seeing that people feel insecure, because there's no reason we should feel insecure. None. We should not ever feel that we aren't good enough, that we aren't pretty enough, both men and women. No one should feel that way. And if you are feeling that way, talk to somebody. If talking to your friends or your family isn't helping you and isn't raising you up, talk to a counselor. Counselors are less expensive than therapists. Find a counselor you can talk to. If you can afford or have health insurance, go to a therapist, go to a psychiatrist, a psychologist. Go talk to somebody, because there's most likely a deep-rooted issue on why you are struggling with overcoming that. If you're being given the reinforcement from others that you are pretty, you are worthy, you are dedicated. If people are complimenting you and you're just picking it apart, there is a disconnect there, and that's fine. It's normal. Almost all of us have that. But if it's affecting you to where you feel less than, you really should talk to somebody and get to the root of the issue, so you don't continue to live your life feeling less than, because you're not. No one in this chat, no one in this world is less than anyone else unless proven so. Oops, sorry. Hey, it's Ray says, I love the quote, if they can't fix it within 5 seconds, don't mention it. It is all, if it's about their weight, F off. If they have food in their teeth, then tell them. Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. I don't think I've ever heard that quote before, but that is a very, kind of funny way to put it. I'm going to move my computer back. I was going to do my makeup, but this has ended up being more important than trying to do my makeup. Yes, Miss Tanisha, I hope you're doing well. We are all here to support everybody. Anybody who's in this chat, anybody who ever comes in my chats, like, we can very easily disagree about things, but continue to support and love one another. Hey, it's just chat. We need the heart buttons on IG. I don't know how to work IG. It's like the one app I don't even touch. I'm starting to figure out Twitter, but even that's touchy. I still can't tell if people are commenting to just me or if it's just something I was tagged in. So what I tend to do is, if you're following me on Twitter, if I'm ever mentioned, I just heart everything, because I really don't know who you're responding to. I need to figure it out. It's hard to love yourself when you've been put down like this your whole life. I'm so sorry you have experienced all of the difficulties that you have disclosed, but you are loved. Even if it's by the people in this chat, I've seen a ton of support be handed out to you, myself included. If you ever need to talk to somebody, you can reach out to me in the DMs on Twitter or Instagram. I'm here for all of my subscribers as much as I can be. You know, we really need to support each other. We need to help each other through our hard times. You know, it happens. We're all human. And I think that other people lose touch of that. They lose touch with the fact that we are human, that we all make mistakes. There's issues we all face, and really take that into account. Not just take it in surface level, but take it into account. Absolutely. And I appreciate you willing to share your hardships, because it is a two-way street. And, you know, a lot of this, like I have said, kind of goes back to society. I'm not blaming society for, you know, everything that happens to us that's bad. But society, a lot of people end up with the same ideologies and like stereotypes because it's learned. It's learned. Whether you mean to learn it or not, it's going to be learned. Like nature versus nurture, and that being portrayed onto the genders. That is learned behavior from when you're in elementary school. The mommy animal takes care of the babies while the daddy animal goes out and hunts. I mean, that's very common. And I haven't been in school in several years, but I don't see like these books being totally rewritten. Of course, there are the few animals like lions that actually do the opposite. The women, the lioness is the one that goes out and does the hunting for the family oftentimes. You're not an angry person, which is the microaggression that people think I am. I've always been kind no matter what. I think people need to stop and think more. Absolutely. And you're not coming off angry at all. We all look the same if our skin was removed. We all bleed when cut. We all have heart, lungs, and kidneys, etc. Absolutely. And I don't want this. Maybe I could talk to Miss Tanisha. Maybe she'd be comfortable, or I can find somebody. I know this has been brought up before. When we start talking about race, I don't feel it's fair for me to sit here and try and discuss race without having somebody talking who is a person of color. Because I don't know the life that they live. I have heard other people and their experiences, like people of color in YouTube who have told their experience, like Swoop, when Swoop called out Glam and Glore. I have seen it from that point. I have had friends who are people of color, but I've not experienced that. I've experienced discrimination in the sense that my husband is not Caucasian, but he is not African American. My husband is Asian, so I mean, he gets discriminated against occasionally. And being an interracial couple has its struggles, and struggles I never thought I would have. I'm saying in general, don't stereotype anybody, because we all have struggled. Everybody has struggled at some point in their life. Even if you're, a lot of people, when they think of struggles, they automatically go to like monetary stuff. Like, oh, well, if you're rich, you haven't had any struggles. That's bullcrap, because they may not have financial struggles like the rest of the world may have, like the other 99%, but they have other struggles, which can be more serious. They may have drug addiction, which is a big issue with people who have money. They may have relationship issues. because they don't trust everybody because they have money. I mean, it's a cycle. Everybody struggles with something, and people who are going to sit on any kind of platform or in any kind of position and project that they don't have struggles is lying and is faking who they are. Absolutely. Even the LGBT, like gender roles and stereotypes affect almost every community. They affect the LGBTQ plus community. Yes, Miss Tanisha says, as a woman, it sucks that I'm already at a disadvantage, but as a person of color, it's so much worse. Like if I'm in a car and see a police drive by, I clutch my seatbelt because of the color. I've had friends who have been in your situation that they feel that way. And you know, people don't understand that. If they've never talked to somebody or had, and I mean, you can be friends with people of color. You don't have to inherently, like, legitimately be racist to not understand, not be able to understand what they are going through. You cannot be racist and have friends, but not be able to fully understand the struggles that people of color deal with. Unless you are willing to have those serious conversations with your friends that are persons of color, you can't understand. You have to be willing to have those conversations. And I mean, that goes with any kind of stereotype or any kind of discrimination. You have to be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations to educate, to like break down the walls. Thank you, Murphy Smith. That's very sweet of you to say. That is why I want to, and I will continue to always have these open discussions. I know it's weird because it's on Saturday. This is so strange for me. These are typically held on Wednesday nights around 7 or 7:30, but every week I hold open discussions on my channel. You guys pick. I put the poll up on Monday for you guys to pick, and always there's the option to add any ideas that you may have that need to be talked about. The one with race, I need to find somebody that would be willing to come on and talk as a person of color to really educate, because I do try to provide education and resources within these, and I don't feel I am equipped to educate. I don't. So I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to fake I can educate what it's like to live that life, because I don't know. I have no idea. I have heard from people like Miss Tanisha who are willing to tell me. I have had people in real life be able to tell me like their experiences as a person of color. But where I'm at now, since I have moved, I have not found any person of color who I have become friends with. Where I'm at, there really aren't any people of color. See, that's ridiculous. That's as a woman being told I can't be in construction because I have to take sick days. I've missed 6 days of work since I started working, and that she's been there for 3 years. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, maybe I should, hey Melody, maybe I should put up LGBTQ and see if somebody within that community would be willing to do a live stream like this for an open discussion. I will look for people in the LGBTQ plus community who may be willing to provide that piece of it. and for maybe like having an open discussion on racism or the effects of racism or microaggressions. A lot of people don't understand what microaggression is. I really enjoyed Swoop's video because we have heard since the terrible passing of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter community, like getting revamped again and like being pushed back in the public eye. A lot of creators who are just trying to be passive activists and passive allies, so it appeared that they were doing the right thing, they continue to say microaggressions. And I honest to goodness do not think a lot of people understood what microaggression was, or like how minute it can be to where you are actually participating in it. And Swoop's video, the way that she told what was going on, the way that she provided examples and definitions and put that video together was so informative. Yes, she was calling somebody out for shit behavior, but she was educating at the same time. It was freaking awesome. More people should have talked about that, like larger creators, in my opinion, should have talked about that and pushed that situation out more than it was, because it was so educational, in my opinion. Yeah, Tana and Mojo doesn't understand shit. Like, I can see where she probably is really intelligent and that's why she does half the shit she does, but I would never be comfortable with like making my millions off of being a bimbo. So, and sorry if that term offends you, but in my opinion, like that's her personality. Can I link the video? Which video? Swoop's video? Provide clarification for me, Jake's Baby Cakes. Without a crystal ball is doing awesome digging herself into the Earth's crust. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. Building things. Swoop's video made me cry because it's so accurate. See, and that's the thing, like it's so educational, and I know people did talk about it. I know there was coverage of it. But there are creators who are willing to talk about without a crystal ball. Granted, I'm not gonna lie, it is granted, she's a POS, but they could have talked and educated their huge subscriber base, but they didn't. And they should have, or at least they should have promoted her video, in my opinion. I will pull the link for her, and so you guys can go see it here in just a minute. Yeah, I will, Jake's Baby Cakes. You want to watch You Never Heard of Her? I'm going to ignore the chat for just a second. Let me go find it. Let's see. Here it is. Okay. Here is the link. For anybody who's watching this in the replay, sorry if you can't see the link. Sometimes my chats are loading, sometimes they aren't. I don't know what's going on with that. But if you go into your search bar, you can type Swoop and Glam and Glore, and it'll be the first video that pops up. But that is the link for anybody who's here. If you want to go copy it, or I mean, you can go watch that video instead of this if you want. The Swoops video hit me in the heart because I know people who are treated that way. Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, I try to be willing to like just move with how the conversation is going in these. I know you're usually here, it's just chat, but for anybody who's new, like we may make our topic one thing and we get our points out, and then the conversation typically ends up migrating to something else, which is totally fine. As long as we're providing some kind of information and education, I'm going to continue to talk. The second it starts getting into other content like YouTube drama and stuff like that is when I start to close down the live, which we may be getting to that point. I'm not sure.
But the moral of the story ends up being for me is that we just need to, as people, we really do need to do better. And I don't mean like just say it and like try it, like actually implementing it for a day or two. I mean, like genuinely every day try to implement doing better. If you know that you can be catty and cold like me, I come off very cold to people in real life. I have resting bitch face. I do. I don't know if it comes off on camera or not, but I do. And it's something that I work with regularly, especially since I don't want to offend my peers at work. I don't want to offend any of my clients or anybody like that just because of me not trying to make sure I'm smiling more or, being more engaging. When I'm at work, I get into the zone and I zone everybody out at times. And I've been working on making sure that I don't continue to push that I take the time to say hi to everybody, that I take the time to make sure I'm smiling when I'm meeting somebody for the first time, or I try to give compliments out, whether it's to people I know or to strangers. If somebody needs something and I have it to give, I'm going to give it. I try to do those kinds of things daily. I'm always thinking of what can I do today to help somebody out. Doing these open discussions, I always offer my DMs. If you need somebody to talk to, if you need resources, if there's something going on that you aren't comfortable saying on a live chat and you want to tell me in private, do it. My DMs are open. I'm always going to allow them to be open so people have the ability and have that resource if they need it. You don't know who Tana is? Tana Mojo, she's a mess. You're a white, straight, cis woman, so those topics you don't feel qualified to talk about. That's how I feel about racism right now, just because I don't know. I don't know what they live. So I've said that before when it was brought up. I don't feel comfortable having that conversation by myself. I would be comfortable with having that conversation on my platform with a person of color, being able to provide and educate. Same thing with LGBTQ+. I am also a straight cis woman. However, I do have family who are not. I have two sister-in-laws that are both have been and is married to women. So, I mean, I know what they experience based off of them disclosing to me and me witnessing what they experience. But I still don't think that gives me the right to sit on a platform and try and educate people because of their experiences. If it's not something I have experienced, I am not going to sit here and preach it to anybody. I will tell their stories if they're comfortable with that, but I'm not going to say this happened to me or, this is what happens to everybody without somebody within the community able to tell their story. And it's going to be different for everybody. It is different for every sector of the LGBTQ plus community. That is seen. How are you doing, new to the channel? I'm good. How are you? Oh, thank you, Jake's Baby Cakes, for answering. I didn't see your question, Lean. Yeah, cis goes for both women and men. It is whenever you're born, you're the gender that you feel you are, pretty much. And that's just sad. Stuff like that is so sad, John. I'm sorry
I know you have disclosed here some of your hardships through that, but like it's 2020 and everybody keeps saying it's 2020, blah, 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 blah. But that's because there's so many people that are just wanting to preach that let's accept everybody and love everybody. And yes, we should, but why is it being preached? Like it should be inherently learned as a child that you are going to love and accept everybody. Not that you have to be taught to love and accept everybody. You should just know that. And there's videos out there of children who don't know any different. They haven't gone through, the societal shit. They don't know that people are prejudiced. They don't know that people are discriminated against, and they don't care. And then you see children a few years older than them who aren't able to do that because they were taught somewhere along the lines. I'm not saying it's by their parents, I'm not saying it's by their teachers, but some influence among them have instilled these prejudice and this discrimination within these children's minds. Hey Della, glad you made it. Children are just innocent. That's why. All right, guys. We've been on for an hour. I know these typically go longer, but I can hear that the company that we have here is awake. So I do want to go spend time with them. So in closing everything, what I want to let you guys know is I will be doing a ranting session of what happened with Without a Crystal Ball in the middle of the night. I do want to watch the video that Unirock put out. I watched the live, I watched part of one of his live streams he did last night, but it was just half of it. I want to finish that. I want to finish the video he has since uploaded today to make sure that I am seeing the full rounded picture before I get on here. And I kind of drag her to filth yet again. You guys seem to like it when I do that anyways. So I am going to do that. I don't know what time though. It's probably going to be like later this evening around like 7 my time. So keep an eye out. I may put a post on my community tab for you guys to vote if I have some time. I may not. I may just go live and like try and push it out everywhere. I will try to give you guys at least 30 minutes heads up. I haven't been able to decide because I don't know what we're doing with our company today. So until I go out and I have a chat with them and figure out what they want to do, if we're going to do anything, to be able to maneuver this around. So with all of that being said, I hope I see you guys later whenever this live stream happens. Not dragging, just speaking your opinions. It will definitely be, it's going to be nothing but a huge soapbox rant. I can promise you that, because each one I've done has gotten worse and worse. And now what she has done is just, it's unacceptable. And I said at the beginning, I understand she's done this before, but I was not around when it happened, or I was not informed when it happened. So I didn't talk about it, and I haven't talked about her doxing other people. But this time, I saw it. She has gone too far. And each live I have done about her where I have ranted has progressively got worse. So I can promise you this is probably going to be one you don't want to miss. Not that I ever try to push you guys to participate in a live of mine. I would kind of push, because this will probably be the very few times you guys see me behave the way I will. I'm not at a loss for words, but I am at the same time, if that makes any sense. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a good day, evening, or night, wherever you are currently. Keep an eye out on my community tab and my Twitter in case I give you guys the opportunity to pick what time the live is, or just when I post for it.
And again, if you guys need any resources or somebody to talk to about any of the things we talked about today, please reach out to me in my DMs, either on Twitter or Instagram. You can just search Manda Pants or Manda Pants Does Life, and my profile should pop up. So I will see you guys later today. Have a good one.